Hello loves, I'm Hollyana, and today we're going to be making these adorable and super easy to make macrame Christmas trees. The first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to macrame. We are going to be doing a square knot, and we're going to be starting it without having a knot at the top. Whenever you macrame, you're going to be cutting 2 strings and make them 3 times longer than you want your project to be. We're going to start by draping our strings over our finger. We're going to put 2 short strings in the middle and 2 long strings on the outside. For this particular project, this very first stitch is going to be the hardest, and then I promise it gets way easier from here. Take your left string and put it over top of the 2 strings in the middle. Take your string on the right, put it over the left string, and then behind the whole project and up through the loop on the left-hand side. Once you pull the string all the way through the loop on the left-hand side, you're going to be able to just pull this tight like you would a normal knot, and as you pull the knot tight, you're able to remove your finger and the knot will hold, creating a very clean start to the macrame project. For this project, we are going to be repeating that same knot over and over again, but since we're doing a square knot, we're going to be alternating sides. So this time, we're going to start by taking the string on the right-hand side of the project and looping it over, then grabbing the left-hand side, pulling it behind the whole project, and then pulling it back through the loop on the right-hand side, and then pulling it tight. As you continue to build your project, you're going to see just how easy this knot really is to create. I know that the first one made it look really difficult, but I promise that doing a square knot in macrame is extremely simple and extremely fun, and once you get the project going, it's really easy to do. In this type of macrame, you're going to be switching which side you pull the string from every time, and if you forget which side you did last, all you need to do is look for that bump that I just pointed to. The bump will always be on the side that you need to pull from next. So now you'll see that that little bump is on the left-hand side, and we just grab the string from the left-hand side and continue to do our square knot macrame stitch. If you do notice that your project stops being flat and starts to have a curve to it, that may mean that you've been pulling from the same side over and over and over again. If you do purposely want to do a very twisted macrame, one that goes in the shape of a spiral, all you have to do is this exact same knot, but instead of going from one side then to the other side, all you have to do is only pull from one side for the entire project. I hope this gives you a basis of how to do a square knot in macrame, and now that you kind of have this down, let's jump back to our Christmas trees. You can make the Christmas trees as big or as little as you want. After some trial and error, I figured out how big I wanted to make mine, and for this size Christmas tree, you need about 48 inches of macrame string and cut 2 strips. Measure out about 16 inches, and that is where you are going to fold over your strings to start creating your square knot macrame. You're just going to be doing exactly what I just previously showed you by starting with your project on your finger, and once that first knot is done, I promise that the rest really does get easier. Since we are continuing once again with a flat square knot macrame, you're going to be alternating from one side to the other as you complete your strand for your Christmas tree. And like I said, I made these about 16 inches long. You can make these as big or as small as you want them to be. Normally when doing a macrame like this, I would end with some form of an overhand knot at the end or tie it off with a bead or something like that, but this one's a little bit different, and I am literally just ending this macrame by tying 1 extra knot at the very end and then cutting off the ends because we want the top and the bottom of this Christmas tree to look as clean as possible. So I'm just going to take the scissors and cut it off, and with this type of rope, it really does stay pretty well. If you want to have some extra security, I would definitely recommend putting a couple dots of glue on there and then letting them dry. Next, we just take our strand and we start to fold it into the shape of a Christmas tree. Now, I did one, of course, to start, and I just kind of had to eyeball it and figure out how to fold it. And then as I did the rest of these Christmas trees, I used the first one as kind of a prototype, and it made it way easier to fold where it needed to fold. And to sew our Christmas tree together, I am just using a silver thread. You can use anything you want. You can definitely use thread, or you could also use some form of like an embroidery floss or a thinner macrame cord, whatever works for you. Just remember that you are going to have to be working your needle through the macrame project, which is a little bit difficult to do. The first time I did this, I tried to just stick the needle straight through the entire tree at once, and that did not work. It was so difficult. I found that it was way easier to just put it through one at a time. At this point in time, the thread is just kind of of through the Christmas tree, I haven't made a knot on the top or the bottom yet. Now at the bottom, the first thing you're going to do is thread on a wooden bead. This kind of makes the trunk of the tree, and these little tassels are optional, of course, but I think that they are really stinking cute. So cut your macrame cord to make some tassels, and then you're just going to be attaching the tassels with the thread. Make sure that you cut your tassels at least twice as long as you would like them to be, and then you're just going to wrap the thread around the center of the tassel, and using your needle, put your needle back through the bead and then start to sew your way up to the top of the tree. Once again, while sewing your way through the Christmas tree, I really do think that it is easier to do one at a time. Like I said, the first time I tried to push the needle all the way through the tree, and maybe if you have a really strong needle or if you're just really strong, you can do this, but for me, one at a time was way easier. At the top of the tree, we're now going to have 2 strands of thread, and neither of them have been tied off. Put 1 strand of thread through the next wooden bead and then tie them together at the top. I like to double or triple knot this just to make sure that it stays, and then cut your thread whatever length you want it to be so you can tie on your ornament wherever you would like to tie it. Trim off the bottom, and there you go. That completes the making of our little macrame Christmas trees, and I'm actually making these trees to go on this really long macrame garland that I'm making. For the garland, I'm also making salt dough ornaments, felt ornaments, some dehydrated orange slices, pine cones, and let me know what else you think I should add.